Welcome everyone to this month's public Alation Brief. So if you're new to Alation Briefs, these are short, practical knowledge sharing sessions that originated in our Alation customer community, where subject matter experts share information, best practices, use cases on using the Alation product. And we have a great topic lined up for today, but before we dive in, I do want to go over some general reminders. This session is being recorded. If you're a current Alation customer, you'll be able to view the recording after the live session on the Alation Briefs repository page in the community, which you can access by logging in to the Alation Help Center at help.alation.com. Otherwise, if you are not a current customer, you'll be able to access the on-demand recording in the Resource Center on the alation.com website. Please feel free to chat with other attendees in the chat on the right-hand side of the event window. We'd love to know where in the world you're tuning in from today, so please do let us know there. If you have any questions for our speakers relating to the content being presented today, please ask in the Q&A tab on the chat panel. We'll have some time towards the end of the session for live Q&A. So any questions we don't get to, though, will be transcribed in the Alation community afterward. And without further ado, I'll pass it over to Dibby to introduce himself and get us started.
Thanks, Diane. Good morning, everyone. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, I'm DB Malakar, VP Product Management. Now at Alation, we are passionate about helping enterprises create thriving data cultures where anyone can find, understand, and trust data. Alation pioneered the modern data catalog and is now leading its evolution into a platform for data intelligence. Now let's talk about the vision of Lineage. The primary objective of Lineage is to enable everyone in the organization to have trust in their data. It helps them understand data flows, relationships, health and purpose fit. Now, as a technical data analyst or report developer, if I have an issue with a metric in a report, I should be able to trace it down to understand the systems that are involved in generating that metric, how the data is getting transformed, and really help me maintain organizational trust in data. That way, I can communicate with the technical developer or the data engineer effectively so that they can debug the issues further. Now, customers should care about Lineage if they are involved in regulatory compliance, impact analysis, data modernization, or risk management use cases. Next slide. Now, like Google Maps, Lineage is all about providing specific and timely directions from start to finish. Today, we provide automated table lineage for more than 50 sources and column level lineage for more than 20 sources. Almost 50% of our accounts use Lineage on a daily basis. We also provide support for manual lineage where users can go into the UI and upload their own lineage or use open lineage APIs to inject lineage into Alation and have less technical users see the lineage in the same user interface. We also provide support for deep upstream and downstream impact analysis. Next slide. Now, so far, we have made big strides in our technical lineage capabilities, and we are ready to take the next steps. We will provide the ability for less technical users to be able to consume lineage, which has historically been the domain of technical users. Business lineage is all about increasing transparency by providing data maps from which all users can benefit by embedding data health and policy information, critical data element indicators, and other business metadata to guide users to compliant and trusted data. Now, why should you care? We help eliminate waste by saving costs by removing duplicate reports and processes. You can utilize impact analysis to prevent costly outages and help speed up cloud migrations. You can also help data engineers decrease root cause analysis time in data pipelines using Lineage with trust flags. Now, let me hand it off to John to talk more about this in detail.
Thanks, really appreciate it. Hello, everybody. My name is John Ulloa. I'm the Lineage product manager here at Alation. Appreciate Dibby kind of walking through some of those slides on how we're approaching Lineage. What I want to do is just take a step back and talk about how Alation is thinking about business lineage here. And so what we see on this diagram, we see two diagrams. One on the left is essentially taking, all those Google Map slide references that we saw on the previous slides that Dibby was sharing, and kind of putting them into a layered stack. Just like Google Maps, you start with the map of the terrain, you put in your directions on top of that, then you have your landmark where you're going, to your destination. You can look at the traffic patterns and overlay that onto the graph as you're looking at your destination, and then you can actually look at pictures of the street that you're going to be turning on, for your direction, right? So if you think about that and layering that up, that's what Alation is looking to do when we think about business lineage. And we start with the technical foundation, at the most granular level, like the column of a database, right? We get the lineage from there, then we move up the chain in terms of providing table level lineage, and then we start grouping these assets together to show data movement really from start to finish. And you kind of see this architectural diagram, this 50,000-foot view of seeing, a data pipeline going from a data warehouse to a BI tool, right, if you will. And then on top of that, what we're doing is taking business metadata from the catalog and overlaying that on the graph to tell a business analyst, instead of sifting through the catalog, you're looking at lineage, you can clearly see, hey, this is the POC of the source table that feeds my dashboard. Hey, this is the data health of my dashboard at this time. Can I trust it? Yes or no? And then, hey, this is the actual table, right, with the elements that are being picked from to connect to your dashboard, right? So we're providing quick answers to the business user throughout this view here. So when we go to the next slide, really want to tie this back to what does this all mean? Like, how does this benefit me as a customer, using the catalog on a daily basis, right? Well, we've been enhancing our Lineage product to essentially solve 3 core use cases. The first one that comes to mind is productivity, right? We're in the business of reducing the amount of clicks you're going to take, reducing the amount of swivel, reducing the amount of the tabs you have to open and close during the data search and discovery process on a Lineage chart. It can get quite complex, right? And we have technical users that are used to the Lineage diagram, and they know the filters and the configurations to maybe navigate around that complexity. But a business user really needs to have more of a self-service approach. They need to be able to understand it, have something applied that's less intimidating, something that's more approachable, right? And we're really trying to appeal to, this kind of leadership direction that we see, in this quote where we see a lot of our executive leaders are expecting, their direct reports to essentially not rely on IT anymore, not rely on data engineers to do this work, right? They now have the tools to do this, right? In a BI tool layer, for example, and Lineage is a natural extension to be able to understand that journey of data when it comes to reporting. When we see governance, right, that is another use case that we definitely see here. And when I think about governance and where Lineage fits in, it really comes into the data products, right? When you think about a data product from start to finish, you want to be able to look at that lineage, right? But you also want to be able to derive insights from those lineage diagrams as well. And thinking about data products and looking at this quote here, what was interesting to me is that there's an MIT study done with university researchers that partnered with hundreds of organizations, and they tracked data product launches, right? That was posted and launched, and then they tracked the after effects of that, right, and how that actually tied into profitability. And what they found was that there was a lot of profit allocated to selling external data assets. This is just like providing proprietary models and data sets on an external marketplace, right, for example. But a lot of the benefit of profits came from actual internal data products, right? So if you think about being able to confirm the quality of an inventory account before you hand off a data set to the next department that's going to be shipping out, some inventory requirements, right? That saves time every time you do that, right? And that guarantees shipments on time. And you think about, looking at retail products on the shelves, trying to make investments. Should I make more of this retail product? You're going to look at data, at the different retailers in different regions online to be able to make that assessment, right? And building these data product tools within the organizations are really driving value. And Lineage definitely has a story to tell when it comes to both internal and external products when we're moving things to production. And then the last thing is compliance, right? We could probably have a separate external or Alation brief on all the compliance, regulation and why data cataloging is important there, as well as Lineage. But I just wanted to highlight, something recent, right, with our U.S. banks here. it looks like they're going to have to be able to submit reports, right, on a recurring basis that tracks different allocations of risk-adjusted assets, right, from their legacy tech stack as well as their modern tech stack, right? And they're going to have to create reports, other reports on that, or they're going to get fined, right? So Lineage definitely has a place to play when we're thinking about helping people stay ahead of that regulatory curve, if you will. So how do we kind of tie this all back, right? What are the features that we're going to deliver within the Lineage product here today to help the business user, achieve these use cases? This really comes down to a variety of features, and I'm going to go ahead and demo in a bit, right? But it's grouping the assets together to really visualize that cross-system view end to end. It's filtering out some of the technical details within the Lineage graph. For example, there's an SQL query that is executed that goes from a table to a view in a data warehouse, right? That's code, right? A business user might not want to look at that code, but it takes a part of the graph. So how do we strip that out and let the user focus on the view that's going to their dashboard, right? When we think about natural language names, a lot of these database admins that are, inserting tables from source data warehouses, they're putting technical titles, right, on these names. So if somebody's business users looking at a cross-system lineage chart, they're going to, get lost when they're in the warehouse layer trying to find out what, view talks to their dashboard because it's not in the same language, right? And then last but not least are these overlays, right? The business metadata from the catalog, right? That we're going to go ahead and demo for you in a bit. I mean, this is something that we're investing in here in Alation to be able to handle these data governance workflow journeys, whether that's using trust indicators, quality indicators, migration statuses, domains, policies, terms, what have you, custom fields that you put on the catalog. Anything that can be used to visualize data movement and help make data-driven decisions, that's what we're going to be investing in. So without further ado, I'm just going to quickly go into a demo. I'm going to show you what we've been working on here. So just going to reshare my screen. Just allow me a second. Okay. So I'm going to play the role of a business analyst here. My manager has told me, my Tableau dashboard is providing some funky data. It's an investment banking kind of firm. I'm reporting on revenue. Something with the banker ID is not making sense. So my manager asked me to kind of look into it. I looked at it on the Tableau side, didn't find anything. So I want to look into the data catalog, right? I'm searching for my my dashboard here, and I can go ahead and pull this up. And so as I'm looking at my dashboard here, this is my dashboard. I can confirm these are the stewards I work with. These are the domains. I can, look at the preview here. It contains PII. It's a critical data asset. It's related to, important revenue business terms. It's part of a data product. Right? These are all things to indicate this is my dashboard. Right. So I'm going to go into the lineage chart here, and I'm going to go into the compound layout view. This is the data source grouping view. And I'm going to go full screen, right? So you can kind of just see the lineage chart. And if I wanted to reference, right, as I'm scrolling through this chart, I can always pull this up on the side and kind of do the same thing I did earlier. But, we already kind of went through this, right? But I always have this as a reference as I'm navigating the graph if I wanted to. So as I scroll up here, I kind of see that, hey, I'm in the revenue breakdown dashboard. This is my dashboard. I'm in Tableau. I know how I created my dashboard. It came from these 4 reports. It came from a data source connection, taking data out into Snowflake, right? And so at this point, this is where it gets getting cross-system. If I need to, find out anything to do with a data issue, I probably need to reach out to somebody that's working, in the system, which is a different team. And so, when you get into Snowflake, you're going to see a lot of different temporary tables, and this is normal. From a lineage perspective, a lot of temporary tables are being created in the warehouse view. Creating ETL, ELT jobs, or creating temporary tables into the permanent state or production state. You're going to see a lot of these kinds of coding and jobs to create these temporary tables. Now, the business analyst doesn't really know this, right? And this is kind of distracting. I can also not understand where these 4 tables and what they are and what they mean. They're in a technical title name. So I think the first thing I want to do to clean this visual up is I'm going to go ahead and go into the filters, and I'm going to display the business title, right, to the technical title. And then I'm going to see that this means region dimension. This is broker dealer revenue. This is banker. This is customer. So this makes more sense to me as a business analyst, right? I can work with these table names and how that feeds into my business dashboard. And then how do I clear this up on the left, right? This is kind of creating a lot of clutter. I don't want to see this, right? So I'm going to hide these data flow objects, those transformations I mentioned in between these little rocket arrows, right? I'm going to hide them. And I'm going to reopen this, and you're going to see that everything to the left of those 4 tables is now gone, right? And then what we've done here is we have actually created a workflow. If a technical user wanted to use this view, they can essentially pull this up, right, and see this that this is a technical data flow through an automation process by the admin. I can contact this person if I want to, who set this up, but this is, a technical detail that I'm not interested in, but I can pull it up if I wanted to, right? So you're still getting, flexibility to look at the granular levels of those transformations, but you're still getting a cleaner view here, right? So I'm in Tableau. I want to understand, what's going on. My boss said something about banker ID not working. I'm going to trace the lineage at this column level and see what's happening. And then I'm going to go and view this at the column trace view instead of the full lineage view. So you're just taking an isolated column here and understanding what's going on. And so you can see that you can trace this all the way back to that banker table that we looked at in Snowflake, but then it's also coming from this Teradata legacy source. So why is it coming from 2 different sources? Well, we can now use these trust flags on here, right? And these are trust flags that can be propagated automatically upstream, by a technical user to notify a business user. Right, so it seems like this is a little glitchy here, but we can notify, a business user essentially that there's a propagation and there's a movement from a Teradata source, right, to the Snowflake source to that banker table that we just saw. So this is, my chief data officer. I'm getting this, information here. I understand when this is last updated. This is recent, right? So this is happening. So this banker table doesn't have a deprecation path, but this is where the data is now going to flow from. Can I trust it? Yes or no? I can now look at these endorsement flags and see exactly what's going on, right? So I can get, who's endorsed by and when, and I can see, these stewards, right? And then also this migration status that's going to be available in Q3. So, I have, just received some notice on when I can use this table, right? To essentially work with its banker ID that was deprecated. And if I move back over here and go back into deprecation, the full lineage view, I can see that, yeah, there's a portion of this dashboard that's deprecated, but I can still use other columns that are not affected by this migration and maybe, put some analysis out of there, kind of save the day a bit while I'm waiting on the data to be refreshed here. So, this is kind of the design of what we're creating from a business lineage perspective. This is a brief demo, but hopefully you got some good thoughts around this. I'm going to go ahead and switch the screen. To this. So went through the demo. I'm going to, sorry about that. And then what I wanted to, kind of circle back on is essentially, what's been happening with this business lineage launch here within Alation. So there's a little bit of context. This slide is essentially like a shout out to all the customers that have been kind of voting on these ideas for lineage visualization improvements, other business lineage concepts, right? They've been very helpful. We've actually created a team here within Alation to run a private preview program for about 4 months and engage 12 customers. And this happened, during the holidays. So we really appreciate, all the hours that our customers kind of put in to help us, get this to where it's at. And, all that work is really paying off because, as you can see kind of in this chart and how we're tracking people using, these business lineage features, aside for, the holidays where I hope, nobody was working, right? You see this dip, you see this nice kind of hockey stick graph here showing the level of engagement that we're getting, trying out these features, right? So we're really excited about what's to come. And just want to kind of share that out there. And thank you so much to our customers. And please continue to submit your great ideas. So these are the resources that are available on Business Lineage, right? We have external documentation on the compound layout view out. We have a new Alation University course that I'm really excited about on Business Lineage, teaching about these concepts. And then we have a variety of community blogs out that you can take a look at in regards to the compound layout, GA announcement, as well as our deprecation path for the legacy layout before compound layout. And these are the releases that everything is tied to for a public preview. Beyond the April release, and it's available for both cloud and on-prem customers. And then the GA release for compound layout, which should be available for cloud and on-prem customers on the February release. So that about covers it from my end. I guess we can open it up to any questions now, Dan.